The Arch Manning era is off and running in Austin, Texas. Spring practice is rolling. We got intel coming in left and right. But as we enter into this chapter in Texas Longhorn football, the Arch Manning chapter, I think there's a lot of conversation around hype. And hype is one thing, but expectation is another. I think hype is a little bit ridiculous. Expectations, though, I think that's valid. I'll tell you what I'm talking about throughout this segment. But first things first, if you're a Texas Longhorn football fan, make sure you are subscribed. Because the more Texas fans that subscribe, we see that. And so when we see that, we're like, oh, the Texas faithful, they're dialed in. We want to make sure that we give them what they want, and we're talking about things that y'all are interested in. It's pretty much the name of this whole game. So if you're a Texas fan, subscribe. Appreciate y'all in advance for that. So to paint a picture here, Arch Manning has not played a ton of meaningful college football just yet. I know he got a few snaps here and there, did a good job. I know he played when Quinn Ewers was injured, did a great job there. But the reality is, I think the verdict is still very much so out on what he's going to be in 2025. The hype, though, is absolutely wild for my guy. Currently, given the context of what I just said around how much college football he has yet to play, he is tied for the best odds in college football to win the Heisman Trophy with A1 Garrett Nussmeier, who has a full season starting in the SEC and threw for 4,000 yards last year for LSU. I'm not telling you it can't happen, but to put that kind of hype on the guy, that's not fair. Hype is a little bit ridiculous. Expectations, though, I think those are fair. I think those are valid. The expectations as a Texas Longhorn fan that I think you can have and maybe should have are, well, yeah, we lose Quinn Ewers. Yeah, we lose some key production from this roster, but we should still pick up where we left off from a season ago. We should still compete for the SEC championship. We should still compete for a national championship. And a lot of that should and I think will have to do with A1 Arch Manning. Here's the reason why. How often in college football are we seeing five-star quarterbacks, much less five-star players, sit on the bench more or less for 2 years? We don't see it in college football anymore. That's what Arch Manning has done. And not just has he sat on the bench for 2 years, he sat on the bench for 2 years in the same system under Steve Sarkisian. He's not having to download a new playbook every single spring and figure it out. Like, he's in the same system, digesting it, processing it. Also, he was an early enrollee. So behind closed doors in Austin, man, Arch Manning has played 2.5 years of college football. That counts for something. That's very different from a life cycle perspective of what we've seen quarterbacks, especially five-star quarterbacks, to be in today's sport. What we see right now is kind of the Krispy Kreme model, if you will. Those of y'all that have been to Krispy Kreme, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You walk into that glorious establishment, you peer through that glass, and you see the dough on the conveyor belt going through that glaze machine, and it's awesome. You're seeing it all happen in real time, from start to finish. It's imperfect at the beginning, but throughout the course of that whole process, you eventually get to your finished product. That's not Arch Manning. We haven't seen him on the conveyor belt. We didn't get to see the dough that he was when he got in as a true freshman. We think we have a good gauge for the ingredients. We put the order in. Arch Manning now, we're getting a lot more of the fajitas Tex-Mex treatment, okay? You put in the order. Now, you hear that sizzle, you know it's coming, the hype's there, but it's just going to show up on your table, and it should essentially be a finished product. Is a strong way to put it, but it should be pretty close to that because of what I just said. 2.5 years playing college football against, let's call a spade here, one of the best rosters in college football in Texas, one of the best defenses in college football a season ago. He's paid his dues here, man. So for him, it should be a very different first-year starting quarterback experience. If you're expecting him to be great and lead you to an SEC championship and compete for a national championship, I don't think that's all that wild because of what I just said. I think a lot of people, though, when you talk about the Manning last name, we love to get pretty big brain on this stuff. Just us as human beings, don't we? We say, well, last name Manning, it's a lot of pressure for the kid. Can he handle it? It's Texas. It's a lot on his shoulders. Totally true. But if Arch Manning's last name is a reason as to why you think you should temper expectations, like let's use our brains here. He didn't just become a Manning overnight. He's been an Arch Manning his entire life. Every single rec league event he showed up at since he was able to play competitive sports. I promise you, rec league soccer, he shows up, last name Manning on the jersey. You see Cooper, you put two and two together, you're like, oh, shoot, that's Peyton Eli's nephew. He's always had to deal with this, dude. So, yeah, will it be dialed up a little bit more now that he's going to be the starting quarterback for Texas? Of course. But let's not kid ourselves and pretend that for the 2025 season, he's going to have some massive acclimation period to this newfound fame. He's been under a microscope since he started playing sports, much less playing high school and college football, dude. Like he's heard all the noise for a very, very long time, and I think his Manning camp has done a very good job handling all that with him and for him, and in his best interest. So let's not put that in as a chess piece as to why you should dial back expectations for Arch Manning. Different, sure. New, probably not all that new when it comes to the hype around his last name. Now here's maybe the most important, or as important as any other piece of this whole equation when it comes to expecting big things from Arch Manning. There's not a ton of excuses built in for Texas in 2025. The returning production is one thing you could point to, but since 2022, Steve Sarkisian's recruited an average of a top 5 class. So that tells you that roster is full of top 5 talent to go compete at the highest level. Unproven, sure. Also, they go to the portal as well as anybody else in college football. The hit rate for Texas is as high as, I think most places in the sport. So your talent, you should have what you need. On top of that, you have one of the best offensive play callers, if not the best offensive play caller in the sport. So when you're talking about Arch Manning and what he should be teed up to do in 2025, I don't see this glaring weakness of, oh man, well, I don't know if he's going to have enough around him. I don't have that conversation when I talk about Arch Manning. Now, there's some things that, again, of course, they have to replace, but you talk to people close to Texas, they feel great about what they're going to have on the offensive line, even with replacing a few starters. They feel great about, I think, the perimeter talent. Maybe they go to the portal in the spring, but they didn't go in the winter. Should tell you enough about how they feel if they know how it looks. So I say all this to get to this final point. You don't need to have this standard new quarterback reset if you're a Texas Longhorn fan when it comes to your expectations around Texas. I think a lot of college football fan bases in general, sometimes you do have to temper expectations because you're throwing in a guy that's never started any games before. Maybe he redshirted for 1 year and now he's going to get introduced to college football in a very new and maybe shocking way. That's not Arch Manning. That's not, for all the reasons I just told you. Been in the system, the same system now for going on 3 years, top talent around him, elite play caller. The roster at Texas, along with Arch Manning, is ready-made, I think, to go compete for national championships, compete for the SEC championship. And if they get it done, that's a matter of how it shakes out on that given Saturday or that 4-quarter stretch. But it's not going to be a thing where Arch Manning isn't good enough, I believe, when it comes to what he can accomplish in 2025. There's no reason, I think, to feel differently. So, Texas fans, let me know how you feel. Hype is one thing, expectations are another. Hype a little bit wild, expectations, I think pretty fair to have them set in a lofty place for 2025 around day one, Arch Manning. Again, subscribe, Cato on the ones and twos. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.